All right, guys. So today we're going to go over how to connect campaigns and stages in ProLine to each other using campaign triggers. It sounds really complicated, but it's really not too bad. The main thing here is if you run into a situation where you want to add you want to trigger a new campaign from inside your ProLine account when something moves to a new stage, this is how you do that. So the situation, I was just talking to Nate earlier today, the situation we're going to look at first is, say you want to add a stage in your ProLine account for no damage. So maybe after you've done an insurance inspection, there's not enough damage to warrant a claim, but you want to keep in touch with that person over time and not let them completely drop off, because they are probably going to need that roof replaced later down the road. And so in that situation, what do? How do you add this into your ProLine account? Well, the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to go into your company settings and you're going to go to stages and you're going to add that stage. And so we're going to do that here on our ProLine demo account. We're going to go to add new stage. We're going to make a no damage stage here. Now we have this no damage stage. We're going to move this up to where we want it. We're going to put it probably put it, we'll put it right there. Maybe right after lost. So we'll just have no damage here. And we can change the color if we want to. If we want to change the color of that stage, we can change what information shows underneath contacts in that stage. If we wanted it to be maybe the next upcoming automation step, or if we want the project number, something else, we'll just leave it as address. We also want to we don't have to, but we want to probably set a status for this stage. And this is used for our analytics inside of ProLine. So these are not customizable, but you're probably going to want to set this to lost. Still would be considered a lost project. Maybe not lost forever, right? But it's still, for analytics purposes, would be considered lost. At least that's what I would put it as. Maybe you want to put it as something else. Make sure everyone's muted. Okay. So then we can also make this an archive stage. In this case, for no damage, you probably don't need to see those projects. So we're going to make this an archive stage. And by archive, I mean the difference between, like, this is an archive stage, this is a regular stage. So archive just means that it just tells you the number of projects and not showing you those lists of projects. So we'll go back to stages here, and then I can move it up and down. That's what that button is for. I can also duplicate it or delete it. So now we have this no damage stage. So let's go over to our campaigns. And let's make sure that we might already have something in here. We'll probably put this under sales follow-up. And let's see, we don't have any no damage campaign in here already. So we're going to create a no damage campaign. And if we wanted to add a description, or this is just for you and your team. This is not something that's important. You don't have to put a description. You choose a color for it. If I want it to be something else. So now we have this no damage campaign here. I'm going to go into the campaign. Now I could, if I wanted to, build this campaign entirely from scratch. I can add one step at a time, put in text, put in emails, and do all of that. But we have a bunch of templates inside of ProLine that are pre-written for you that we've built over the last 8 years. And all of these have been tested and refined over time. So we actually have, pretty sure we have a no damage. Sure. I could have swore we did have a no damage in here. Yeah, there it is. I knew we had it. Okay, so we have this no damage for roofing. So I can add this template in, and what this is going to do is going to populate out all the emails and texts from this template. that we have on the back end of ProLine that's already pre-built for you. And so a lot of the campaigns that you might think of that you might want to add to your ProLine account, a lot of these you'll probably find in our templates already. Now, you're always going to run into things that we don't have a template for if you're really pushing into something new or some new concept or idea, and that those you'll have to build yourself. But you'll often find a template that is at least a good starting point for you, so you don't have to build it entirely from scratch. Now, I have this in here. I can go into any of these steps and I can customize them now that they're in here, but at least I have something good to start with. And so I'll go ahead and turn this on. So now we've created a stage and we've created a campaign that we want to run when projects go to that stage. Now let's look at the triggers that connect the two together. And so you might ask, why can't it just be all one thing? Well, actually, I'm jumping ahead of myself. So let's just focus on this. How do we make it so when a project goes into no damage, if I want to drag this project, Brad Pitt, into no damage, how do I make it so that starts the new campaign? And the way to do that is by clicking on this little gear icon and you go to the triggers page. So now we have the triggers page here. One second. And so we have triggers. We're going to turn these triggers on. And then I'm going to add a trigger. And this trigger, I can put filters on it if I want it to only match in certain projects. Or I can just come down here, can go to sales follow-up, no damage. And now we have a trigger that when a project goes into this no damage stage, it triggers the no damage sales follow-up campaign. So now these are now linked together, and it is important to note that there's a toggle here for on and off on this trigger. This is different than there is another button here for the campaign itself. So there are two levels to this. So you got to make sure that the triggers are turned on. That's what moves the project into the campaign. And then you'll need to make sure that the campaign itself is on as well. Otherwise, these automations won't run. And you might think to yourself, wow, this seems like a lot of steps to add, just to make it so I can start a campaign from this stage. The reason we have it set up this way is because what about a situation where you don't necessarily want every project that goes into this stage to start this campaign? Maybe you want only some of them to, or you want some of them to start this campaign and some of them to start a different campaign. So let's look at a different situation here with quote sent. This is a stage for where projects go to once the quote has been sent to them. And so in this one, you see that we have all of these different sales follow-up campaigns here across 4 different triggers. And here at their numbers, so you got trigger 1, trigger 2, trigger 3, trigger 4. And so if we go to trigger 1, we can look and see that we have this filtered based off their category being residential and their type being retail and their services being roof repair. And this is, I think this got messed with because it's in our demo. This should be probably roof replacement here. And I don't even necessarily have to do all of that. I could just have roof replacement on here. But maybe this definitely got messed with. So I'm gonna kind of reconfigure it here. So here at the top, we have now the commercial one. So anything that's labeled as in the commercial category is going to go into this commercial campaign. Then anything that's not commercial, but matches up here. And so maybe we just say if it's, we probably want to set as residential. So residential roof replacement. No, I guess I see why that was that way. Okay, so this is anything that is retail residential roof replacement goes into this retail roof sales follow-up campaign. Then if it doesn't match on that, and it comes down here and it's labeled as an insurance job, then it goes into the insurance follow-up. And then anything else that doesn't match on any of those things would go into this more generic other follow-up campaign. And so this is fully customizable. So this is not the right way per se to set this up for your account. This is just illustrating how these triggers work and how you're able to funnel projects into different campaigns through a single stage based on how those projects are labeled. So if we go here, we go to Indiana Jones, we look at project details, you can see this is in the residential category. It's a retail type and it's labeled as roof repair. And so that actually would actually go all the way down because it doesn't match here because this is roof replacement. It wouldn't match here because it's insurance and wouldn't match here because it's commercial. But this one, which has no filters on it, it would match on that because there's no filter to stop it. And so it's going to go into this other follow-up campaign. Now we could add another trigger here if we wanted to have something set up specifically for roof repair. And we could say residential, retail, roof repair. And then I believe there's I guess we don't have a roof repair campaign set up in this demo right now, but we could just put it to there as well. So we can put it here. And so now, regardless of whether it's roof replacement or roof repair, it's going to go into this retail roof campaign. And that pretty much covers how these triggers work. I don't think I'm missing anything here. Another thing that you can do, say for commercial jobs, you just don't want any campaign to run. You want no automation. You don't want follow-ups to run. You just want to handle this completely manually. Instead of selecting a campaign here, you can just select to stop the active campaign. And if you select to stop the active campaign, then it'll just say stop campaign here. And it'll keep any other campaign from starting. So it'll still, for commercial projects, it'll match on this first trigger, and then it will stop the campaign. And it's the biggest concept here to remember with these triggers is just that they are numbered and the number matters. So whenever a project enters this, it's always going to match on the highest possible trigger that matches based on the conditions here. And so if something has commercial, it's going to match on this first one and stop. It's not going to even look at these other ones. And so that's the main concept here. Now, again, if you just want to trigger a single campaign for every single project that goes into a stage like we did for no damage, then that's simple. You can just put a single trigger here, no filters. Every project that goes into no damage is going to trigger this campaign. And it's only when you need something more complex, like we do here for quote sent, that we need to worry about having multiple triggers with different filters. But the biggest thing, the big advantage here is that you are able to create these complex triggers that can start any campaign from a single stage. So you don't have to have a bunch of different stages lined up. In the old ProLine system, we just had campaigns. So if you wanted to have different types of sales follow-up campaigns, you had to have like a bunch of different campaigns lined up and put it into the right campaign based on what type of job it was. With this, you have the single just quote sent stage, and then it filters into the correct campaign based on how the project is labeled. So that pretty much covers it. Do we have any questions? Anyone want to ask? Anyone confused on any of that? Have questions on how that works? You can make sure to unmute yourself if you want to ask a question.
I don't have a question specifically on that part. I do have one that kind of pertains to campaigns and stuff, but not that particular thing you were just talking about. So I don't know if you want to do that at the end or.
Go ahead and ask, and then if it's close enough, we'll cover it. And if not, I'll reach out to you separately on it.
Okay. So I just, we had that little issue with the time being blank in the automated text message. And so I just sent out a Sumo quote. And so it automatically moved it over into quote sent or estimate sent, whatever the wording is. And then it sent out the automated message. But instead of it saying, let me know if you have any questions on this quote, it said, let me know if you have any questions on the contingency agreement. So is there somewhere where I can look pretty easily through all of the wording on all the different campaigns and make sure that they all match up? Because I know some of them I had looked at as well were specific to roofing. It said, thanks for, let me look at your roof. I'll get a quote to you about, but I'd like to just change that to something more generic, like, thanks for taking the time to let me look at your project or something. So is there like a list or easy way to see all of the wording on the different campaigns so I can make sure that it matches up with that campaign?
Yeah, so I think this is a trigger issue. I'll need to take a look. We'll take a look at. I'll reach out to you after the call and we'll take a look.
Okay.
But I think what you're referring to probably is something to do with the triggers. And you'll need to make sure that the triggers are set up correctly to filter into the right campaign, because you probably have a campaign set up specifically for contingency agreement, and it just maybe that doesn't have the right conditions on it. Because what you're saying is it normally would say this and it said something else differently this time for this particular situation. And that is exactly what the triggers are supposed to do. It's supposed to take a project, and depending on how that project is labeled, push it into a different campaign. And so it just may be that how your triggers are configured, it thought that was a contingency agreement campaign, or a trigger, a project that needed the contingency agreement follow-up. And so it sent it into that. Now, as far as the list, the triggers page is probably the closest thing you're going to get to a list. Now, you might have campaigns that are not attached to a trigger, and you might want to go into the folder inside of your campaign manage area and go to sales follow-up, and you'll see the complete list of everything that's in your account. But the triggers are the only thing that's being used. So you can look on your triggers page for quote sent, and then just go down and view any of these campaigns. So you just go down the list and view the campaign, and then you're going to see, and these are all empty because it's in the demo, but you're going to see the texts and emails that are queued up to run for that campaign. So we have it linked here so that it's really easy to see not only what's being triggered by what, but also you can click into an individual campaign and see what's written there. And it's important to know these are all different campaigns here. So like you click on this one, it's going to give you something. It's going to show you that campaign, and then you'll need to go down to another trigger. When you click on that, it's not showing you. It could show you the same campaign if the campaign is connected to two triggers, but it's most likely a different campaign. So just, read here what campaign it is. Here on the left, this is the folder the campaign is in, and then this is the campaign name itself. And that just corresponds to the way it is in your campaigns area, your managed campaigns area. So these are folders you're looking at here. It's just an organizational thing. So you can go to the sales follow-up folder, and then we can see all the campaigns here. And then that's how it is here on the triggers as well. You see this, the sales follow-up folder and the retail roof campaign. So yeah, we'll take a look after the call a little bit more here. But I think it is related. I think it's a trigger, probably trigger conditions may be incorrect or something. So I'll take a look at your account after the call and then reach out to you. All right. Joe, did you have a question?
No question on my end. But I did like all the different campaigns that you guys had. That looks pretty cool. I need to go look through those.
Yeah. It's all that. Are you talking about the templates or like the pre-built campaigns, or like the templates that you can just pull in?
The pre-built campaigns.
Yep. Yeah, that's all available to you even on the previous version. Whenever you go into a campaign area, it's just down there at the bottom. Go to add template, and then you choose the template. We have descriptions. So if you click on one, it'll show you the description of that campaign template as well underneath it before you add it. Yeah, another thing to note here, it's not really what we're covering today, but just as a word of warning, just be careful with this. Delete all existing steps. If you select it, it's going to delete everything else in the campaign first and then add it. But then sometimes you might want to just add something to something you've already written. Maybe you have a couple of steps you've added manually, then you just want to add the one we built below it. And so if you leave that unselected, it won't delete anything. So, all right. We have any other questions?
Is there a way to I know obviously the customer gets an automated email and text, 24 hours before and then 1 hour before. Is there a way to have that same automation sent to me as the sales rep, so I don't forget an appointment or something?
Yeah, that's a really good question. We'll cover it real quick. It's not really directly to the triggers, but it's an easy thing to cover. So
Okay.
if you go into your campaigns and you go to appointment reminders, or I think we've been putting it under job updates. So you'll probably find it under job updates. You go to your appointment reminders. We have this sort of standard campaign that has, but in different people, this is customizable, but this is what most people have in their accounts. It's a confirmation and then a 24-hour before reminder and a 1 hour before reminder. So you can definitely add more stuff in here. So one of the things that you can add is a send push notification step that sends it to the contact assignee or to the assignee on the that needs to be relabeled. It would be in the old system, would be the contact assignee. In the new system, it's the project assignee. And you can create a push notification that goes through our app and comes up on your screen, just like a text message would, that just says, upcoming appointment in 1 hour. So you can add reminders for yourself here. You could move this up to put it after step 4. So you could have a 24-hour before reminder, add another one. See some push notification, and then you could add another one down here. You just fill out all this information. You can use variables in here, so you can, appointment for, you could say project name.
And that contact assignee, that would be me, not the customer.
Yes, this is referring specifically to team members in ProLine. So this it should say project assignee in this new version would be whoever's assigned to that project, and then or you can have it go to a specific member of your team. There's different situations here. You probably wouldn't want that to happen. You'd want it to go to whoever's assigned to that project since they're the ones running the appointment.
Okay, yeah, that's perfect.
So you can definitely do that. All right. Any other questions? All right. Well, thanks for coming today, guys. And this is okay. I thought I didn't hit recording there for a second. This has been recorded, so I'm going to post this up on YouTube if any of you want to go back and review it and follow it. And yeah, hopefully that helps. As always, if you run into any issues, have any questions, there's always the chat down here in the corner. It's always the fastest way to get in touch with us. So, all right, talk to you guys soon.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, AJ. See you guys.
Thanks, Joe.